What do you do when you're between the devil and the deep blue sea? Well, for the Israelites, they were between Pharaoh's rushing and advancing and pursuing army and the big Red Sea. And they were genuinely afraid. They were genuinely terrified. We find ourselves often in situations like that once in a while. I found myself in one today where you were moving away from the past, you're moving away from slavery, moving away from bondage, and moving towards the promise. Like you know that you are heading towards what God has promised. You know you are heading towards the future that looks like what God has promised. And then you find yourself almost stuck. You find yourself almost incapacitated, almost helpless. Because behind you is Pharaoh's army, and in front of you is your promise. But then it is not within reach because there's a sea between you and your promise. What do? You're stuck. What you do is not to cry, it's not to mourn, it's not to complain, it's not to stay stuck. What you should do is to go forward. Funny, isn't it? But that's what the Lord told Moses to do when Israel was in that situation. They were actually crying. They were terrified. And Moses went to God and God said, tell them to stop crying. Tell them to go forward. And that's what the Lord told me today. He said, go forward. Keep going forward. That thing that I've told you to do, keep doing it. Those ideas that I already gave you, keep pursuing them. Even if today you feel like giving up, today you feel like, oh, Pharaoh is going to run me over. You may feel like that today, but don't allow it to happen. Guess what? If Israel had not moved forward, they would have been run over by Pharaoh's army. Don't sit where you are and wait for Pharaoh's army to run you over. They had no idea what God was going to do about the Red Sea situation. They had no idea, but they just kept going. You never can tell what God is going to do about the Red Sea, but until you get there, go forward. Even if you are your only push, even if you are your only cheerleader, even if you are the only one who understands the picture in front of you, don't allow Pharaoh's army run you over. Child of God, keep going and make sure you're facing forward. Ciao.